Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the Technology Forum. We spend our days positioning, delivering enterprise technical solutions. So we figured better to talk to you and share our thoughts and recommendations about those topics. I've got the whole cast today. Clayton, welcome to the show, sir. You missed it. We missed it last time.
Thank you, James. Well, hopefully I can make up for it today.
Well, you've got all the action items. Right. So everything that's on the agenda today, sir, you're going to have to give your in-depth analysis, maybe even do a whiteboard, right? Do something like that if you've forgotten how to do that, right?
I'd have to find my markers.
Doing good. How are you?
Doing well. So busy day today, right? In the world of consumer technology, it's definitely a busy day. I know we typically focus on enterprise technology, but I think we'd be remiss if we didn't at the end of the hour talk a little bit about what happened with Amazon and what happened with Apple and Target. Those three big giants actually have their deal days and had their events today, launching products and launching services. But I wanted to spend a little bit of time talking to you guys about your recommendations, your thoughts around some technologies that you use at home. One being home automation, right? What are you using for security, HVAC, lighting, things of that nature? I know I've got a conglomeration of products that I use, and I've got it working somewhat effectively for me. But I would love to hear what you guys are also using, and if you're doing something like that. Mr. Yarns, let's start with you. Okay, we're going to throw you right out there first and foremost.
All right, since we're talking about home security, you have passed my home address to everybody, right? So I don't have to worry about that. All right, good. Yeah, so I've got a smattering of different things that have evolved over the years. And, I'll talk a little bit about history of how I got to where I am today. So I bought into the Iris platform many years ago, which was backed by Lowe's. And I thought, hey, with the company like Lowe's behind it, it's going to be around for a while because this would have been probably back around 2012, 2013, somewhere around that time frame. So very early into the home automation, smart home stuff. And I built out an entire system with that from HVAC to home security to cameras. And then Lowe's killed it. And so I was like, well, so much for that logic that it's going to be around for a while. But Lowe's did a really great thing where they bought everything back at retail price. So I got a check for like $1,400 when they discontinued the service. So that was when I had to go and restart from scratch, right? And that's when I decided that I think the Google system or Amazon were probably my top two choices that I considered for home automation. And I ultimately decided to go the Google route. And even though it was more expensive, and I don't know if I have a good reason for going Google, but I did, and I've got a whole smattering of Google now. So I've got the home hub that controls my home security, right, from the door and window sensors, the fire alarms, carbon monoxide detectors, the front door lock, and HVAC controls, right? So that's primarily what I've got going on there, and also a small suite of Nest cameras as well. So I think I own one of every single Nest product that they offer, except the indoor cameras now. So and I love them. The biggest downside to them is they are expensive to buy into. But everything I've bought has been like physically solid. It's a good quality built product. The app works, the service works. I've had very few issues with it. The other thing that I like is I have the Google Home hubs around, so I can do all the voice controls to, arm my alarm or make sure the front door is locked, things like that. But it also allows me to integrate in all those other smaller systems that I have. So I have like the Aki outlets, bought those because they're, like $14 for a pair of two on Amazon, right? So I can control lamps and things like that. I also have a lot of Leviton smart switches around, so I can replace the light switches that are physically in the wall to control my existing lighting. And then I also have the Logitech Harmony Hub. So I was talking to Dave about this before, that I can go down, I really did this for my kids, right? So they can go down into the home theater setup and they can just say, play Xbox One. and it powers on the projector. It sets the input for them. It turns on the Xbox. They're ready to go. They don't have to remember anything. So it works pretty well for them. And you can give it any number of different commands from watch Netflix to whatever. Yeah. Same thing with the routines, right? So I can tell it that I'm going tonight, and it turns off all the lights. It locks the front doors. It turns on the security alarm. All that fun stuff. It makes sure that the garage door is closed because I don't need to be woken up by the police again at 2:00 in the morning because my garage door is open.
Oh,
so but that's nice that they do that.
Yeah, did you catch that again?
You can't just slide over that, right?
There's a story there.
Well, yeah, it was just, you always wonder what the heck's going on when you look at your Nest doorbell camera and you're like, there's a cop on my porch at 2:00 in the morning. Luckily, yeah, it was just the garage door, but that's when I was like, well, I need to set up a rule that says, if it's past, 1:00 in the morning and the door is still open, I'm probably not using it. So go ahead and close it. So yeah, I generally love it. The biggest problem with it though, outside of the cost just to buy into all of it, is when something doesn't work right, you're pretty much relegated down to a Google forum or something, right? You're going to post on Reddit or whatever your preferred place is, right? And you just got to hope that they're going to support it, or that somebody's going to know the answer to it. So like a problem I'm having now is we use the broadcast feature as an intercom between everybody in the family. And for some reason, when one of my sons broadcast, it pops up and it says it's broadcasting, but it never plays the message. And it only happens to him. It's like, so wow. I'm afraid if I opened up a case with Google, they're going to be like, post on the forums or something, right? Yeah, so I did post on the forums like Friday, and nobody's responded. But on the flip side, I had my front door replaced last fall, and the contractors took a power drill to the terminals on the back of the Nest doorbell. Well, of course, it stripped the threads off, and I couldn't reinstall it. Yeah. So I contacted Nest to see if they could give me a replacement backing plate or something. And I was willing to buy one, or the contractor was going to pay for it. But no, they just shipped me a completely brand new doorbell. And I was like we broke it, right? It's like, that shouldn't be a warranty thing. So the support that I have gotten has been absolutely phenomenal, that they would just replace something that was broken. So
yeah. Well, you start with saying you got a $1,400 check from Lowe's, and now You're saying Nest is sending you free product. I have a question about you though. I mean, because you mentioned a lot of manufacturers, right? Google, Levitron, Nest. Do you have any concern about not standardizing on one particular OEM manufacturer and having different technologies in the house?
Yeah, it was always my goal to have a single one, which is kind of why I bought into Nest to begin with. But the Nest ecosystem is fairly limited. So the products that I have that are outside of that are only things that weren't supported in the Nest family. But that's the good thing about the Google Home app, that actually allows me to pull all this in together, and I can control it all in a single app as if it was a single family of products. So that's so yeah, it's called Works with Google, I think is the name of the program, and that's how you can go in there and check to make sure that these off the wall manufacturers like Aukey actually work and integrate in with Google Home.
Okay. Awesome. Dave, what about you, sir? Now? I probably we should have saved you for last, because you've got an elaborate system from what the rumor mill is saying. But I would love to hear how the Lombardi estates are. I'm sorry, I should stop calling it that. But
go ahead. It makes my wife feel great. So keep saying that. Just means I got to work a lot more.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So the intention that I went through it was, my first priority was I wanted to make life simple. That's the whole reason for automation, is simplify life. I don't want to touch things anymore. I don't want to, hit a light switch. I don't have to worry about the kids leaving lights on, that sort of stuff. So that was kind of my approach is let's look at that. How can I make life simpler? And I actually ran into, I wanted to have everything in a single ecosystem, but there's so many limitations that you run into. There's no perfect ecosystem that has everything. So I thought, okay, why don't I see what's the best, security cameras for me? What's the best smart home locks? What's the best lighting? And I started going down that route, and I realized there isn't one ecosystem for it or one vendor. So from there, I just started going, okay, I'll get the best of what works for me for each of those, and I'll try to piecemeal them together and hopefully, at the end of the day, have a good result. And so my journey was going with, everything from, smart lighting, very similar to Clayton. I went with Lutron for the in-wall lighting. So if I already have lighting set up or ceiling fans, that sort of stuff, I just put Lutron controllers into there and it goes to a hub. So then I can set up all my scheduling. And the way I do it is, I schedule everything from whether it's for some things, I set it for a time of day. Like as an example, every night at 8 o'clock, my lighting underneath my cabinets in my kitchen go on. But there's other lighting that's all based on, 10 minutes after dusk or, whatever. So it, evolves with that time. So I did that and then went with some LED lighting that I really like. I really prefer the LifeX. So that was kind of another example is you look at a lot of stuff that's out in the market. There was really good, things out there. You've got Philips Hue, there's other things that were out there that were definitely more mature, but LifeX had higher lumens, so I could get a lot more light output. It just seemed to work a little bit better. So I went with that route. So just kind of a rundown. I've got, a lot of different things from lighting. So I've got LifeX LED lighting all throughout the house. I've got the Lutron for in-wall controllers, as well as connecting to lamps. So it'll connect to a little lamp controller. So that's kind of set up for lighting. I've got smart home locks. I've got MyQ for the garage doors. I've got smart home locks all throughout. I've got, HVAC, Ecobee. So I've got that. So that's a good example of, obviously Nest is, definitely considered one of the top things. But what I didn't like was the fact that it adjusts everything. I want to be able to control it exactly like how I wanted to control it and have a bunch of different schedules.
Yeah.
Only Ecobee could.
I've got some stories about that I thought something was wrong with my HVAC because of the way it was behaving. So I control it completely by myself. I don't. Plus, it's built with the logic that you leave, right? And in this COVID world, nobody's leaving. So all that smarts doesn't make a lot of sense these days.
Yeah, but like with Ecobee, so I was looking at something simple as, and this is every technology that I look at, I would go, okay, I want it to do this, I want it to do X. And I started looking at the details on it and I realized it can't do X. It can do a little bit of that. So as an example, I want to have 5 different schedules for HVAC. You can't do that with a lot of these other vendors. They'll give you 4 schedules max. So Ecobee, gave me that ability to have as many schedules as I want throughout the day. So I can have it go on and off and change different temperatures. I was doing time of use there for a while. So, I've got that. I've got Arlo for the smart home security system or the cameras. That worked out great for me because I didn't want to wire up everything. I really like some of the other camera systems, but I didn't want to wire it up. I didn't want to have power. I didn't want to have Ethernet. So, this worked out. So it was a lot of that sort of thing. But what you run into is how do you bring all that together and make it simple? If my goal was to make life simple, how do I do that? And I haven't found the perfect way to do that. So I've got SmartThings as a hub. I also leverage Amazon for the routines. And Clayton, cover your ears for a second. I use Apple Home, for some other stuff or shortcuts. So you can take the earmuffs back off now, Clayton. But we've, so I've got a lot of different things that are working, but it can be a pain. Now, as technologists, it also can be a little bit of fun because you're kind of going through, you can script as much as you want. You can, definitely get into, IFTTT, do a lot of different stuff. But at the same time, I don't want to necessarily do that. But it's funny. It's interesting how people just take this stuff for granted. So I got all this stuff set up at home, security, lighting, it's doing everything that we want. Nobody touches anything. We've got Harmony now for the home theater. So like Clayton said, you just say, hey, I want to watch a movie, dims the lights down, turns the thing, turns the TV on, all the inputs and all that good stuff. And I showed my wife and my kids, I was excited. I'm like, hey, check this out. This is like, next level stuff, right? And this is like stuff you see on movies. What do you guys think? And they're like, oh, that's all right, Dad.
Yeah. Where's the power button? All I want is a power button. How do you turn it?
No, they don't even want the power button. She's like, oh, that was nice for you, Dad. Yeah, that's, whatever. Oh. So it made me sad. But here's the thing. So I don't know about you guys, but when you tell family members stuff and they seem like disinterested, my wife, as an example, tells everybody about it. So I caught her on the phone like the next day, or telling her family or friends, "Oh, you got to see what we can do at our house. We can do this and that." Really, you couldn't give me just a little bit of but anyway. So those are the big things. Obviously, I get everything wrapped around ubiquity, unified networking. But yeah, for me, it's worked out because I can have every single device do what I want it to do. But I am looking for that simplicity. And if you think about it, when we talk about even enterprise technology, it's user experience. I have yet to find any company that has nailed that you can do everything from automation routines all in a single place and platform. But we're getting there. It's getting better.
Yeah. Now, but see, you talk about the ubiquity piece, right? And I think the majority of folks don't have it to that level to where they have separate networks running for the home. Maybe they do, all right? But talk a little bit about that, because you've got like a management console or an environment that you can log on and see throughput and utilization as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So some of these home automation devices, so I have Sonos as well, all throughout the house for audio, and it has its own network if you wanted to do it, that takes it off of your standard networking. So I highly recommend, if you have an opportunity to have devices that have their own networking, that you do that. But yeah, so for the Ubiquiti Unify setup is everything I can see, everything I need. I can do quality of service. So for those that aren't familiar with that, that's the ability to, take what your kids are doing or home automation. You don't have it take over too much of your networking bandwidth. So, especially now with everybody at home due to COVID, you're stuck sometimes, and we're exceeding that. So you can.
I don't have that issue with Google Fiber. I'm just gonna
yeah. With your.
See, there's those statements that'll get you removed from the video streaming. that doubting Thomas, but that's okay.
We can talk about the 2 gigabit plan when I become a beta tester for that. So I will gladly talk about that. So there you go.
Yeah.
I tell you what, before we go to Yvonne, I've got a question for you, Clayton and Dave. Talked about cameras in the house or cameras at the house. Do you have cameras inside as well, or is it just outside in the perimeter?
So I have Nest cameras for the outdoor ones. So I have 2, the Nest Pro IQ cameras, and then I have the Nest doorbell camera, which I was very reluctant to get the Nest doorbell camera because we already, at the time, I had 4 outdoor cameras connected to a network video recorder, and I was like, I don't need anything more than that. But the intelligence that's built into the Nest doorbell camera that allows you to do like facial recognition. It will tell you when a package was dropped off or if a package was picked up, and being able to quickly identify those sections on your timeline, right, and play them back was pretty awesome. So that's once we finally got that, I'm like, okay, I'm kind of sold. And I tore out the old system and I sold it on Facebook Marketplace about 6 months ago.
Done.
Yeah, I think where you're going out, James, is so I personally don't have cameras inside the house running all the time. Yeah. It is a little bit of a security thing for me. I think we were all talking earlier, whether you got devices listening in to you, we know that sometimes it's accidentally turned on or whatever. So as a rule, I try not to have that. But I do have some Wise cameras. They're cheap and inexpensive. So there's occasionally that we'll use it. I've got a grandson. Now it's about to turn 1 this weekend. So we use that when he's around, just to be careful and make sure we're monitoring him. And maybe for another time, we'll talk about this, but I have a travel router that I take with Wise, obviously not with COVID, but we all travel throughout, our careers. And I would set it up in the hotel. And I can't tell you how many times I caught hotel staff going into the room and doing stuff they weren't supposed to. So I'd have a little conversation 2 minutes after. Yeah, I'm that guy.
Nice. Busted.
That's a whole other topic. That's a great discussion. And so what you said about your grandson is timely and relevant. I'm not sure if you heard the story this past week of Joe Montana's grandson was at their house. Joe Montana and his wife were upstairs. Someone in the neighborhood came into their house, tried to abduct their grandson. His wife heard all of the noise, and there was a scuffle and all, and the lady was eventually arrested. But again, those kinds of things, that's where they make sense. Again, I don't have cameras inside the house just for. I think that's slightly weird, slightly creepy, but that particular type of a situation would be very beneficial and very helpful.
We do have some indoor cameras too. We bought the Yi cameras. I think it's how you say it. It's a YI, so very comparable to the Wise cameras. But
Okay.
the main reason we bought them was because we have 2 kids and we needed a third party that could be neutral and tell us what really happened. And so
who broke this?
yeah, exactly. But then my neighbor actually ended up borrowing one of them because one of their like 17 cats was peeing in the house. So that was their other use case. They wanted to figure out which cat was peeing in their house. So they set up that camera. And yeah, so there you go. There's a couple use cases for you.
Now, we need to hear from Yvonne, but I will say with my cameras, my kids didn't know I didn't have cameras in the house. So when they were younger, something would happen. And I go, hey, listen, do I need to check the tape? Oh, no. This is what happened. Little they didn't know there were no cameras there. Hopefully they're not watching.
That's up. Well, we're streaming on Twitch too, so you never know. That's where the youngsters are watching.
Right.
Yvonne, talk to us, sir. What's going on in your abode?
Yeah, before I jump into my setup, I'm going to ask Dave to send me the link to that camera because I think it's very, very useful, especially when my close friend last year, he told me that he was basically mugged in Portugal. So somebody got into the house where he and the other family was staying, and apparently they were gassed. They were gassed and they were asleep. And my friend, he is a professional wrestler. So you don't go there and rob someone that you don't know unless you're sure that he won't wake up, right? And the guy who he was staying with, he is also in some kind of private security. So you don't want to mess around with those guys. So you need to absolutely be sure that these guys are asleep. So apparently someone gassed them and someone went inside. They had a camera outside, so they saw the guy. He spent about 30 minutes and he actually went to the kids' room as well. So he searched the kids' room, and the only way they realized that the wallets were stuck in front of the door. So they woke up and they just saw a stack of wallets. So apparently they went through the wallets. They didn't find anything. But that was the, if you guys are watching, if anyone of you are watching Top Gear, Richard Hammond, one of the British hosts, was mugged the same way, I believe, in Italy. So apparently there is some kind of gas, and doctors say there's a very thin margin between life and death in these cases. So in these cases, I think that camera would definitely help. So I want to have one of those.
Yeah. You need 2 of those, buddy. We can't have you getting gas.
No.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yep. So anyway, going to my setup, as probably everybody else, I was first introduced to smart devices by Nest, which I had in my condo in Canada. And in Canada, something like a thermostat is really important because outside you have like negative 20s or 30s, right? And then you have to keep good temperature inside. Or if you want to spend money, you have to have geofencing that would warm up the house when you're getting home from work, stuff like that. So I bought Nest and realized that Nest doesn't have geofencing, right? And it didn't have many other features that I wanted because I'm in the Apple camp and it didn't support Siri at that time. I'm sure it does support it now, but before it didn't. So I was like, okay, so I just invested into one piece of technology and I can't even use it the way I want. And that's where I discovered the awesome app platform called If This Then That. So if you search for If TTT on your favorite application store, you'll find it. And if you don't know, it's acting like a glue between different devices, or even things like Twitter or email. So you can send email basically to If This and That, and it will invoke some kind of action on your smart devices, right? So, and since that, I never tried to standardize because I knew if this platform supports If This and That, I can buy it and I can select my vendor and I can select every like commodity or like Dave said, Wise camera. I also have Wise cameras, right? So I can select pretty much cheap stuff, off the shelf stuff, and glue it together in a way I want. So speaking of my setup, currently I have smart lights, and I like devices that do not require a hub. So I bought a smart bulbs that are made by Wiz, a company called WIZ, Wiz, and they were actually bought by Philips. So Philips Hue was originally Philips brand, but this Wiz vendor, they were just bought by Philips, and they still have this line. It's on Amazon. It's incredibly cheap. It works with iPhone. I'm not sure if it works with this and that, but that's enough for me. My use case was just to change color temperature through the day, because apparently you can actually Google this study. So it really screws up your hormones if the temperature is not right. And in many cases, so they are just now discovering that for women actually can lead to like breast cancer. So yeah, so it's really important. And my use case for that was automatically change the temperature. I didn't care about turn the lights on and off automatically, but I cared about how your natural rhythm would benefit from automatically changing the color temperature. And this with bulbs, they actually do it so by themselves. And you can change those rhythms. So I highly recommend checking out the smart bulbs because it can be very beneficial for your health. So there is that. I also have a smart lock, which is probably like 7 years old. It never works as I want. I need to change it. So I have that. I have wide cameras that are incredibly cheap, like $20. I bought it for babysitting, basically when I'm on another floor. And they actually now have person detection, and they're working on same things as Google does, like parcel delivery, for example. And they have a case that you can screw them outside the house, and basically the all-weather case as well. It's like $20 to $30. I believe $30 version has it turns around and it zooms in. Very advanced camera for its money. So what they're doing, they're basically rebadging the cameras and other devices made by Xiaomi or Xiaomi. It's a Chinese vendor that is very big, has very high quality stuff. They basically mimic Apple in the design of their stuff. And it's very, one fact about this brand is it's fake in China. So it's a Chinese brand that is fake in China. That's how you know it's good stuff, right? And what they do here is a California-based company. They rebadge those products, and they still keep the backend. So I believe it uses Alibaba Cloud for your videos if you're concerned about that. But for what it is, it's incredibly good value. So I agree with David on that. Talking about like the baby cameras that are $200. This one is $20 and does exactly the same thing. So there is that. I also have the FAB thermostat, and one of the reasons I bought that instead of Nest was the integration with this and that, and with Apple infrastructure. But again, I don't use it in automatic mode. I just tell Siri, "Hey, it's cold," and she says, "Oh, baby, it's cold outside," in British accent, because I have it in British accent. And it turns off. And then so that's how I use it, just not to go downstairs and turn on the temperature. And that's pretty much it.
In these COVID days, haven't we?
Mm.
I noticed no one mentioned Amazon and Alexa.
I did. I use Amazon. Yeah, the routines.
Okay. Yeah. I'm just about all Apple in the house. Sorry, Clayton, but again, as far as the lighting perspective goes, nobody's okay. Nobody's perfect. I've got the Philips Hue running. The lights all in the background here are off of Philips Hue. I wish a hub wasn't required, but yeah, a hub is required for Philips, because the no hub would make that more extensible and get less hardware, less heat in the house, less on the utility bill. But I've got a lot of Ring stuff, right? So I've got Ring lights outside. I've got the Ring doorbell in front, and the sun-driven ring in the backyard, watching everything there. So it's got a solar panel on it, right? So I don't have to charge it up or anything. So I've got the ring light back there charging all the ring camera charging all of that. Don't want to get too complex, just like you, Dave, right? I mean, just want to make it very easy. I got the app running. I've showed the kids how to do it. If you want to turn the TV on, want to turn the lights on and things like that, just log into the app or tell Siri to do something. But it's almost gotten to the point where it's no longer just a want, right? I mean, I think it's begun to the point where you actually need to have something like this in your residence to, again, like watch your home. Folks are coming, dropping boxes off. You want to see what's happening. You want to make sure nobody's a porch pirate and grabbing your equipment. So you got to do that. That MyQ garage door opener, that's amazing. I've got that too. So when you get your Apple Watch, there's a compilation for the Apple Watch, and I'm out riding my bike. I can tell my Apple Watch to open the garage door as I turn the corner. That makes it all worthwhile right there. And it was pretty cheap. It was, I think it was less than $40, right, for the whole setup, right, which was pretty nice.
So
Amazon Prime 17 right now.
Yeah.
So everybody on this call has smart locks and sounds like the garage door controller as well. I was very hesitant to release my physical security into my integrated smart home. So I'm curious. What was everybody else's feelings about that? Did you have no concerns there? Are you still concerned? How do you feel with your connected doors?
I don't. Yeah, so I don't have my smart locks connected to any system that you can communicate with. So you can't say Echo unlock the doors or anything along those lines. So I don't have it set up there. But yeah, I was also a little skeptical on the smart locks. That's the only one that's not connected to anything but my smart things. So if I'm on the app, I can do stuff, but it's not really automating a whole lot. But I can check it anywhere in the world, and I've done that.
I like that.
Somebody forgot their keys. Yeah. But I will say on the Alexa platform, what I love about that, and she just went off.
She just woke up.
Yeah, she just woke up. We use it, so the routines are cool, but we actually we have routines that tell the kids what to do. And it's nice because we don't nag them anymore. So It's time to do your chores. It's time to do your homework. During the summer when we had COVID, where we're doing a lot of at-home schooling, it's time for lunch. It's time to jump on this. It's time to do your Spanish or whatever. So we used it for a lot of that. So there's a lot of stuff that's going on. It's 10 o'clock. It's time to start getting, prepared for bed, that sort of stuff. Get in the background. There you go.
He's supposed to be in bed.
Yeah. He's been there for a while, just so you know, if you didn't already realize that. But that's been awesome. And, we're still very, interactive from a parenting standpoint, but just to have those sort of things is something that's really nice. And then sometimes they're not thinking about it. We were all that age too, where you're just busy playing video games, whatever. So then for that thing to pop up and say, attention, whatever, hey, have a great night, or, those sort of things, it's been pretty cool.
I actually literally turn off the entire network on school nights for the kids. Well, I don't do it for my daughter anymore. Okay, she's a college student, so she gets a little more leeway. But the young guy, 11 o'clock, he has no access to anything except maybe to stream some music so he can go to sleep.
Yeah, we do the same.
I was going to say there's smarter ways of doing that now. We use Google Family Link that allows us to, set time limits. We can set time limits on specific apps and all that kind of good stuff. So it's pretty nice to have a full control of that and not have to turn off the Wi-Fi to get it done.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though.
Okay.
So you mentioned something a little bit earlier that we didn't catch up on. The bad problem about smart home and everything that we're trying to do is think of how often it changes. So if there's a firmware update, that scares the heck out of me. I've heard of people where their Echobees have no longer working. So you've lost access to HVAC, or they do a firmware update and you're not getting the same access that you used to. We used, it was Disney Circle to do the same thing. And they decided you have to get the new hub to continue moving on. And we just spent all this money, all this time to get everything set up. You're running it for like a year or two, controlling the times and everything. And all of a sudden, you can't do that anymore. That's the downside to this technology is firmware updates can break stuff, and then you're really stuck. You're on forums like Clayton was saying, or it's outdated. And now what do you do?
Yeah. Yeah, because you definitely don't want to go back and have to re-engineer or redeploy your whole solution. There's got to be something to help you out when you run into those particular type of issues. Ivan, I was going to talk about you and Dave actually mentioned if this then that, and they actually launched an opportunity recently where you can actually upgrade to Pro, but you can name your own price. Right, so they're trying to crowdsource folks of upgrading from the regular version up to this new Pro release that they have. But they said, you know what? Upgrade to Pro and name your own price. Now, me, I would obviously fund the development, but if I get only 50 cents a month, there, buddy, I'm cheap. Just say check that out. So check out if this and that Pro that they're still running that opportunity where you can pick your plan, standard versus Pro.
Yeah, thank you. It's actually a good point because I'm actually using one of the applets that if this and that, which basically grabs Twitter feed of any user or like overall Twitter feed and filters the keywords. And I just trying to understand how much it costs them to constantly poll Twitter. They have to host it somewhere, right? This applet that runs. And I was like, wow, they are doing that basically for free for millions of users, and the period is like 5 minutes. So if I can do it like every 10 seconds, it will be much better. I would actually pay for that because I tried to write a Python script that does the same thing, and it works for me, but I have to keep it running. So I have to have my cloud billing me constantly. So I would rather pay if this and that rather than do it myself. So it makes a good point.
Gotcha. So I see Taco Maniac 444 on Twitch has a question. Feel free to type that in, and we will try to address it for you. But let's move to the next topic and talk a little bit about DR, right? Disaster recovery prep. Again, timely, relevant topic of the day. I personally, again, unfortunately, have gone through a situation where you guys know I've been affected by the fires here in California. So property is gone. But outside of that, I think folks should be prepared for these types of things. Have home inventory. Have some type of tool for backing up photos and videos and important documents. Whatever particular platforms, whatever particular services. I use a number. So I've got every photo is saved at 3 locations. I've got everything saved on iCloud, Amazon, and Google for the past, my daughter, 18 years. So I've got every photo saved at those 3 locations, which is fantastic. But when I look at my parents, when I look at my in-laws, and some of the content that they have, we never got around to be backing up or saving some of that stuff. So when the fire happened, we lost a lot of irreplaceable items. What do you guys use? And this time I'll start with we'll go backwards. I'll start with you, Ivan.
Yeah, sure. So just like you, I'm using iCloud because I standardized my home IT on Apple. So I use obviously iCloud, and I also have a secondary destination, which is Google Photos. I don't use Amazon. I think it's too much. 3 destinations. All the algorithms, they know a lot about us already, so I'm not giving that to Amazon. But what I also use, I use Apple Time Capsule, which unfortunately they don't make anymore. Yeah. But you can get it on eBay while they're still out there. And actually, if you use Apple, I highly recommend you get it. And I understand it's an old technology, right? So my time capsule is only like 2 terabytes, and it uses Wi-Fi 802.11 AC, which is already old, right? So there are newer standards, but still it's pretty mighty. It has 3 antennas inside, so it can basically, I wouldn't say triangulate you, but it can form a beam towards your device. So if you want to stream your entire screen to your Apple TV, it works in 1080p. I don't think it works in 4K, but it works in 1080p, and that's enough for me. It's a 7-year-old product. I bought it like way back, and it still works flawlessly, and it actually saved me many times. And I get that there is iCloud, and Apple has to sell their cloud capacity. But still, if you can find, if you have Apple ecosystem at home, and if you can find that time capsule device either on eBay or somewhere else, I would say get it because it's important to have at least one copy of data locally, right? So if your primary data goes down, you can recover from the cloud, but who knows, right? Now you have your time capsule, you can just grab it with you. And it's much better than having a hard drive, I'm telling you that, because it's completely transparent, right? So for example, what happens if I take a picture of on my iPhone, I get home, it synchronizes with my MacBook Pro, and then it goes to the cloud, it goes to iCloud, it goes to Google Cloud, but it also automatically goes to the time capsule. So that, I think, is would be my ideal setup. And I'm not sure what Apple is trying to do here by discontinuing the product. And I get they have to sell cloud, but I think it's important to have a local copy of data. So if you guys know what's the strategy for those who have Apple, let me know.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned time capsule, and every time you say that, I'm thinking of time machine. But you say you don't have a physical hard drive, because I always had those old boxy Western Digital drives, right, sitting on USB drives, sitting on my desk. You're talking something slightly different.
So time capsule is the name of the device, right? So this device combines, basically it combines the target for time machine and the wireless access point and the router all in one. Okay. So it's managed by native tools within iPhone. There's an app called Airport Utility, I believe. And then there's the same built-in tool in Mac. So that's how you manage this device. But what you can do, you can use it as a target for time machine in Apple, which I believe is now also discontinued, if I'm not mistaken. So they are not developing new versions of time machine. And it actually saved me quite a lot of times. So what time machine does is basically an incremental backup. So it takes the full backup, which is basically copying all of your files at once. And it takes a couple of hours to transfer it over Wi-Fi, but because they use high-speed Wi-Fi, the AC standard, it's actually not that long. So, but then every 15 or 20 minutes, and you can actually change that parameter, it takes the snapshots. And so all the subsequent backups are just the snapshots, right? So this is called incremental backups. And then you can roll back to basically any point of time with, let's say, 15-minute increments. And for me, that's enough. So once, for example, I lost very important financial data that I had, like, oh man, what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna call. It was in Canada, so I'm gonna call CRA, Canada Revenue Agency. I'd be on the phone for several times, and then I have to redo the whole thing again. It was very complicated tax return that I had, and it basically took me like the whole week to put it together. And I restored from time capsule in several minutes. I actually forgot that it exists because it's so seamless. Right, so you don't even have to set anything up except basically pressing one button when you set up the time capsule.
And just run the background.
Yeah, and at the same time, you can use it as NAS. So, for example, if I have a movie file, for example, I can just put it there, and then from Apple TV, I can use Video LAN player VLC. And just open that file directly from the NAS device, directly from the time capsule. And I tried many setups. So before buying time capsule, I got the very interesting router. I believe what I did, I installed. So I bought the router. It was called Nighthawk. I forgot what manufacturer it was.
Netgear, wasn't it?
That's Netgear. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was it. But I didn't stop there. I installed the firmware called GDWRT, which is basically an open source firmware for the router. So you can modify it any way you want. And by doing that, you can also install the component that can serve as a target for time capsule.
Okay.
And it never worked. It never worked. I gave up. After 2 months, I just returned the freaking thing, and I got myself a time capsule, and I didn't know a problem ever since. So yeah, I highly recommend this product. I'm not sure why Apple made this decision. Honestly, I have no idea. I think it's one of their best products they ever created, together with with AirPods. But it's discontinued, so get it while you can.
Well, they swear they know what you need before you know you need it. So, like.
So you don't need it anymore, is what they're saying.
Pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's time to upgrade and move on. Dave, what about you? Are you using any disaster recovery preparation tools, utilities, and platforms?
Well, I would be remiss to say that, well, if I didn't, there would be a problem. I came from the data protection side of the house, and I spent a lot of time there.
So that really was a softball.
So what I've done is, and I was going to go with the time capsule route, and they had discontinued it. It was kind of like the original mesh network before mesh networks got really popular. So yeah, it was weird that they discontinued that, and that's when I went with Unify and everything. But for disaster recovery, very much believe in that. And I can't tell you how many friends and family that have lost, a lot of their stuff. So the approach that we've taken is everything is stored on a NAS. So we have a QNAP NAS, network attached storage device, that we have in the house. So we've got that. It's set up with RAID and mirror. So, if something messes up on the RAID, I've got a mirror and I've got other hard drives that it goes to. So it's, from that perspective, it's pretty well set. So anything that's important is stored on there. We've digitized everything. So obviously with digital photos, it's a lot easier, but all the other photos that we had before, we went through and taken a scanner, and it just takes time. You scan everything in that's important. VCR tapes, 8mm tapes, all of that's been completely digitized. So I've got everything now stored on that NAS. And anything that's on a computer, I'm still backing up, even though we use the NAS for everything that's important, but I use external hard drives that connect to it. I use Time Machine for my Mac stuff. We, obviously have some PCs around, so I use native tools for that. Depending on what it is, sometimes I use like SyncToy. I used to use that, which was like an rsync type of tool for Windows, whatever, rsync it up to the NAS. But yeah, so everything's stored on there, RAID, mirrored, and we're set. Now here's the problem. What if something happens, kind of like your situation where, something happens to the house? So that's the next part that I'm going to be moving to. And I did a lot of research on the different cloud vendors. And I think I'm probably going to go with Dropbox. It's, okay. I do like a lot of the other tools that are out there, whether it's Google or Amazon, or you have, iCloud, Microsoft, all these different things. But for the money, I think it's like $10 a month for 2 terabytes. I think that's enough for me to move stuff up there. And I like Dropbox because you're not tied to an ecosystem or anything along those lines. You can access it from any device. So I'll probably do that as a kind of my tertiary backup, just to make sure that if anything were to ever happen, it's all set. So yeah, you got it pulled up right there. So it's, for me, I think that's probably the best of everything. So I've got the house covered. If a device goes down, no issues. If my NAS goes down, I've got things mirrored, so I'm set there. I can recover. But now the next thing is just getting stuff moved up out of the house, just in case, because you never know.
Yeah, that's true. That is something that is very true. You brought up a question or a statement about photos. And have you heard of the Google Photo Scan app?
I have. So here's my concern is when you're doing any sort of scanning, I want it to be the best quality that it can be, so that if I need to do prints or those sort of things, I can definitely spin it out from there and have high quality. So when I do I have an Epson scanner. When I've done scans, these are big files, for a picture. So it's great though. It's a great product for people who don't care about that necessarily, just want to have a backup of their photos. It's awesome. So highly recommend that.
Good stuff. Rhonda Scott says she's a fan of Dropbox as well. Gotta love that. Clayton, what about you, sir? I know you've got something there in the fortress.
I don't have anything that's important enough to back up.
Yes, you do.
So I share a little bit in common with all you guys there. So but I'm going to start off with some of the physical. I actually have a fireproof safe in the house that I keep a lot of stuff in. So I used to do safety deposit box at the bank, right, to keep a lot of those documents that I didn't ever want to have to replace. But I switched to credit unions recently, and it was impossible to get a new safety deposit box. So I bought a fire safe, and I keep most of that in there. But I also keep digital copies of everything. So like Dave, I scan them and I save everything out to Google Drive. And the thing I like about Google Drive is, just like most of these solutions, you can have a client on your computer, right, where it backs up just that folder or whatever you specify. So I don't have to worry about manually backing it up and things like that. So the other thing that I like about Google Drive is the photos, right, that you take with your phone. As long as you're using the Google Photos app, you get that automatic backup there to the cloud, so you don't have to worry about space on your phone or space on your laptop, things like that. So the downside, like Dave was talking about, is it's only standard resolution, but I'm not taking photos that I just absolutely have to keep in high resolution on my camera phone. So I could probably stand to use a little bit more redundancy in what I'm doing. But then again, most of the stuff that I have saved out there, the vast majority of it isn't that critical or not replaceable. So I do have, I've been debating getting a home NAS. I've got about 600 terabytes of video that I have running on my home media server that I've been debating about. Did I say terabytes? Sorry about that.
You did.
Sorry.
Yeah,
that's the real deal.
I'm so used to talking about terabytes. I have about 600 gigabytes worth of video there. That's
still decent though.
Yeah. But it's big enough that I don't want to pay to back it up somewhere to the cloud, because it's not exactly, again, something that I couldn't replace if I had to. But it's just running on a single, I hate to admit it, 7,200 RPM drive. That I should probably have a little bit of redundancy somewhere there, at least a RAID configuration within that box, but not a high priority yet. So,
okay. Do you have? I forgot what my question was. God, oh, Drobo. Is Drobo still out there? You guys remember Drobo as the NAS? That was actually a great company that had a lot of redundancy.
Yeah, so I had an HP Media Vault initially, and that one, I had it. It had its own proprietary RAID. That actually crapped out on me. That's why mirroring was so important, because I thought a NAS will never go out. It's got RAID and it was set, and it took me forever to figure out a way to get that data off of there. But I was looking at Drobo back then, and QNAP, just to all of the available things that you can do on it. You can use it as a media server. You can use it as a target for iTunes. There was just a lot of stuff that you could do with it. I decided to go with that. But yeah, Drobo was a great device as well.
Okay. Good stuff. Well, we'd be remiss again for this final topic if we didn't talk about it. Today, as we kind of started out, it was a busy day on the consumer electronics side. Amazon Prime Day started, which is weird because it's 2 days. It's today and tomorrow. Along with that, Mr. Tim Cook gets on stage and releases or announces some brand new mobile technology, which, we'll talk about that too. But the one thing that I feel that I see that is interesting is yet those two big giants doing something, launching sales, saying come shop with me, and you got Target sneaking in too, and they're doing their deal days 2020 as they call it. So everyone's trying to get in because we're locked in our houses. You can't go anywhere. It's a completely different. If the mall is open in your area, half of the people can go in, or whatever the case may be. So order it online, get it shipped to you. Walmart may be doing something as well. And I mean, such a large retailer. Did anyone pick up something and put it in their cart today from Amazon Prime Day?
I'll just throw it out there. I don't know if it's because it's 2020 and it's just 2020. I was just really underwhelmed with everything that came out. And maybe we shouldn't be like that, or we're spoiled. I don't know. It seems like I think this year we needed it to be big. We needed something like just next level change just to bring our spirits up. And I didn't see it. Of course, I'm getting the Apple Watch 6. I've been trying to get it locally. You know that, James, but I'm just going to do it. And that's not part of the Apple event, but that was a recently announced thing. I will end up getting the iPhone 12, just because it is what it is. But
which one? Because there were 4 that were allowed. So which one are you particularly looking at?
Yeah, Clayton, you can put your headphones or your earmuffs back on for all this. It's going to be boring.
Yeah, and don't look at the screen because I'm sharing screens. Don't even just tune out.
So I will say this: the Max is awesome. The screen size is great. The Pro's got some great features, but for what I need it for, I'm just going to get the 12, just the basic 6.1. Kind of that lower end one. It's got everything I need. I don't need a telephoto lens. It's got the wide and ultra wide, and it's going to do more than I need. So, I'll probably go with that one. I don't need the mini. So that's probably the one I'm going to go with. But I was just really underwhelmed with their announcements today. It just wasn't great. It's we're going to do this, and we've got the new HomePod Mini. Awesome. Yeah. I guess.
Well, because I've got Sonos all throughout the house as well, and nothing compares to Sonos. I mean that's really the at the top of the mountaintop. Apple should have bought Sonos back in the day. And I mean, that really is the home audio, home theater setup with its own network and just an incredible sound. But HomePod Mini, you can buy 2, make it stereo, but it wasn't, the price is decent. For Apple, the price is decent at only $99, right? Because you wouldn't expect something under three digits to be coming out of an Apple, but $99 was not bad at all. But I feel the same way. It wasn't too compelling. I will be pre-ordering the 12 Pro when that happens on the 16th, and then hopefully going to try to pick it up.
Now, what about the 12 Pro? Just because you can say you have the 12 Pro, is there actually some reason?
Well, I like the size as well, and I take advantage of that telephoto lens.
Okay.
I mean, when the world opens up and we can do some more traveling, I think I will find a use for that. LiDAR scanner is okay, is great. I don't see myself using that really that much, but I just think that 6.1-inch diagonal and the fact that it has all of those cameras, that's what's compelling to me.
What do you have now, James?
I got the 11 Pro. I don't have the Max because the Max is just ridiculous. It's too big, right? You can't fit it in your pocket. I go to the gym and it's just bad. So 6.1 is perfect size. I actually think the Mini at 5.4, that small candy bar size is too small. Maybe it's just because my eyes are getting bad as I age a little bit. So I need just a little bit bigger of a screen. But right size on the 12 Pro and right functionality.
Yeah, I also have 11 Pro, and I actually can't see myself using any of the features that were announced today to the point to justify the upgrade. Right? It's so nice, but I also have telephoto lens. The new release is better, right? Better features, and for the wide angle, you can use all the advanced features and this computational photography, which they improved. But I'm not sure if it's worth if it is worth extra $400, I believe now, if I sell my current one. So so people have been saying that the average upgrade cycle now is not 2 but 3 or more years.
Really?
So probably I'm gonna go. Yeah, that's true. So the average upgrade cycle, which is actually a major problem for Apple as a company has now significantly increased, right? 5G could be that feature that moves phones, right? But now everyone is locked in homes. I'm not sure if you're gonna use 5G, and many people don't understand that 5G came in different flavors, right? You have your regular 5G and the actual 5G that uses the millimeter wave. You know, the ones that causes COVID-19. I'm talking about that.
The one where everyone was burning the towers, you know, the
exactly.
cell towers.
So,
exactly.
exactly. So that frequency range would not be available for a long time. And even now, if you look at the coverage map, it's only like few blocks. I know in Los Angeles, it's only a few blocks in downtown. I haven't been in downtown for maybe 8 months. So for me, buying this iPhone just to go to a couple of blocks in DTLA and testing this out, it's awesome. But I'm not so sure about that feature being a competitive differentiation that would just force people to upgrade.
Not enough at the wrong time, because again, society has halted. But yeah, I mean, I agree with you, Dave. There's just not enough compelling reason. I'm actually more impressed. So this is for you, Clayton. I'm actually more impressed with what the Android ecosystem is delivering. Right? You've got Samsung's and you got the LG with the multiple screens and the.
He just jumped up inside with a little excited. Look at the smile on his face.
Look at this guy glowing, right? Oh my gosh, right? But that's where I'm seeing more innovation from a mobile technology perspective, right? I mean, the Google Pixel with the stock Android, and with that one, when you save to Google Photos, it's in full resolution. But yeah, the LG and the Samsung, those are pretty compelling devices.
James, we just got widgets. Come on.
Man, look, I had this conversation last week, and yeah, the widgets. Oh my gosh, it's close. It's close. We're not there just yet.
I have Google I have Google everything else, but I actually have a Windows phone. I'm still running an old Windows 10.
Wait a minute, what?
Wow. No, you know what? That does not surprise me at all, Clayton. Actually,
no, I'm joking. So I do like Android generally speaking, but you know, it's not without its issues, right? You know, in terms of Samsung's got their own little overlay that they put on Android, right? And then they release things like Bixby, which is their digital assistant, but I've already got the Google Assistant, so why do I need both? And it in some respects it introduces a lot of complexity that's not really needed. But then again, it's not Apple's way or the highway, and that's why I like Google over Apple generally, because you have more flexibility and control over what you want to do. But I have to give Apple props because of that route to market, that they want to control everything. You know, you control that end user experience, and that's what most people want. You know, you talk about all these different features and things. At the end of the day, people just want a phone that works the way they expect it to work, right? And I think Apple does a pretty good job of doing that, but it comes at a price premium and a flexibility premium. So
I would actually
go ahead, Dave.
I was actually going to take this further and just saying that Apple. I think Apple actually diverted from the original direction, because they started with just one phone, one color, one screen size. You don't get any other choice, and I think that's what people want. People do not want choice. They want one product that just works, right? So you don't have to spend hours on the website trying to buy something, try to configure memory size or screen size or color. That's one phone for you. That's all you get. I'm seriously thinking that it's a mistake from their side. But sorry, go on. You'll hate me for that, but go on.
No, I was gonna say Clayton will like this. I actually loved Android, but what I loved about it, I hated about it. There's so much that you can do, and being technical folks, I was tinkering with that thing. I was doing all sorts of customization. I was spending way too much time on the phone. And I said, I got to stop this. So that's why I actually went back to Apple's, because I said, I'm spending way too much time on this device that I should be spending doing other stuff.
Yeah, because all the manufacturers out there, they're trying to put their own software tweaks on it to make it compelling. And at the end of the day, it's kind of ridiculous because stock Android, in my opinion, does a pretty good job of all this. I don't need a different camera app and a different photo app and everything that's basically does the same thing, but is Samsung branded. It's kind of like infotainment systems in cars, right? They all spend a lot of time and money developing their own proprietary system, and then you go plug in your phone and you're not even using their system. You're using Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. So at some point they need to stop wasting their money and just support what the phones do and call it good for a day. That's my opinion.
I mean, are you on the current version of Android? Because Apple folks, we tend to stay on the most current release, but that the Android ecosystem fluctuates. You've got,
depending on the manufacturer.
What about you? So you personally, are you bleeding edge, leading edge?
I take whatever Samsung's on, right? I don't really have much control over it. So, if you have a Google Pixel, you're usually getting that update,
that's true.
When it comes out. But when you're on, say, Samsung on Verizon, like this phone is, I have to wait for Samsung to do their own internal testing. Verizon has to do their testing.
That's right.
And I'm 6 months to a year and a half behind, depending on how fast they want to push that through, whether they push it, and that's if they even push it through or not, right? Meaning, at some point, I'm not getting updates anymore, and it's probably a shorter update lifespan than maybe Apple supports. Because we're talking about most Android phones get updated for about 2 years, and then they're cut off. So how's that compared to Apple's lifespan?
Yeah.
How long do they support it? I don't know.
Several years.
Several years. Yeah.
I actually, you guys may find this hard to believe, but I have an Apple iPhone 4 somewhere in my office. I just don't know where it is.
Find it.
I was looking for it. I got all these.
It's what keeps
here, but
it's what keeps his table steady. He has it under one of his.
Actually,
tables.
I had to use it when I was setting up some of my smart home stuff because some versions of Android do not like it if you connect to a Wi-Fi without internet access. It's like, oh, there's no internet access, so you don't want to be connected to this. So it automatically disconnects and tries to find a different Wi-Fi network to connect to. So a lot of my systems, because they're not hub-based, they're Wi-Fi based, you connect directly to them to set them up. But then the phone, like I said, it craps out and says, oh, you don't want this, and disconnects. So you can't walk through the device setup. So when I open up a ticket with support, they're like, well, do you have an iPhone? It was like somewhere.
No.
and what was it? That old 14-pin connector or whatever, the big wide one. I was like, I got the phone. I don't know if I can find the charger for it, but I did eventually find it, and I did go through the setup, and it worked just fine. And that was actually a Ubiquity product, believe it or not, that went through that I had a challenge with back when I was setting up my Amplify HD mesh network back in the day. So
yeah. I love that.
So before I lose my Amazon Prime membership, I will say that there was some really good stuff on there, but it's stuff that for me, I already had everything. So if you want to buy if you're into Amazon ecosystem, the dots, everything's always super cheap, right? So if you want to do Ring, if you're doing anything that Amazon owns, it's a good opportunity. In some cases, it's actually cheaper than Black Friday. But there were some good deals. They had a Bose QC35-2s for like $199. That's not a bad deal. They had the MyQ Garage hub that we've been talking about. It's still up, I believe, for $17. And it's normally $40.
When did it get to be so cheap? Because when I bought my garage door hub, the MyQ was still like $120 or something, I thought.
Oh wow.
Because I bought some generic one. It's called Go Gate, and it's
that's the problem right there. There's your problem right there.
It works. It works better than my last controller through Iris, which I had to put on a smart plug that automatically turned it off every night, because if I left it on for more than a day or two, it wouldn't work anymore. So I had to put it on a smart outlet to power cycle it every day so it kept working.
Look at that, $16.98.
Yeah,
that's insane. I think that's less than what I paid for the generic Go Gate.
That's really good.
Yeah, that's a good one. And like I said, the Bose headphones. Like I said, if you're into anything in the Amazon ecosystem that they own, it's always dirt cheap. And then the They had some August locks. So I think, Yvonne, were you talking about you need to get some new locks?
There
you
yeah.
go.
So
August.
my strategy on Prime Day is actually do not buy anything on Amazon Prime itself, but look at the other stores, because as somebody noticed that everyone is trying to chime in and do the same sales type of stuff. So, for example, Harman Kardon now sells their $450 Onyx speaker for $100. For $100. And then there are many other very good deals for headphones. So I saw some Bose was on sale for like 70% off or something like that. The noise canceling ones, the over the ear ones, and there are some sound bars. So for that, I go to sleekdeals.net, which is a kind of the forum or aggregator of all the deals. But there's also a good plugin. It's actually a website called Triple Camel, camel.com. I'm not sure if you guys heard of it. It actually has a plugin for all browsers. So you can click on the button when you are on Amazon product page, and you can see all the price history. And you can understand if the deal you are seeing is actually a deal or not. And in many cases on Prime days, on the stuff that is not owned by Amazon, it's not a deal. It's like a usual price. So they'll hike it up, and then they'll lower it just like on the Prime day.
Make it look like a good deal.
Yeah, to say it's a deal. So if you don't like plugins, just go to camel.com and just paste the URL of the Amazon product. It will show you all the price history for the product.
How do you find this stuff? And more importantly, how do you say camel with a straight face?
Camel. Yeah, it's triple camel. No,
how do you say it with a straight face?
no clue how they named it. Yeah.
A free Amazon price tracker. Our free Amazon price tracker monitors millions of products and alerts you when prices drop, helping you decide when to buy. My goodness.
Yeah, and you can also set alerts, right? So if you want, for example, buy a Roomba, you can set an alert for $100, and maybe in 20 years you can buy a Roomba for $100.
Awesome. Well, fellas, thank you very much. Tonight has been a good show, right? I think we covered a lot of great information, irregardless of just the sales, but camel is something that I'm going to probably bookmark to see if it's real. But talking about home automation, talking about disaster recovery preparation, things that folks really need to probably take into consideration, and the range of offerings that are out there, right? Again, you don't have to be locked into one ecosystem, but there's some pretty quality products out there that can do what you need to do. If you're just trying to turn the lights off, if you're just trying to set some music, if you're trying to turn on the air conditioning, whatever the case may be, it's very simple. It's not very simple, but it's pretty straightforward now, right? It can be complex at times, but there's something out there for everyone. I'll go around the table. Start with you, Clayton. What you got, sir? You got anything in closing?
No, I think I agree with you that there's a smart home product out there for whatever you're wanting to do, and there's probably 10, right? So I think understanding what you want to do with it, and then how you want to control it, are probably some of the two biggest things. And then you also got to worry about how you're going to connect it, right? Do you want to have all these different hubs? You want to go Wi-Fi, and also keep security in mind as well. Like I asked about the smart home locks, even though we have the garage door and our front door on smart locks, we still have that physical lock that it's not connected. So those are just a lot of things to consider when somebody's buying into that ecosystem. So,
Yvonne, what about you, sir?
I would say don't try to over automate stuff, and don't try to jump on the deals. All right. So today it was quite a busy day for me for work, and then I also tried to watch all this stuff and look at the deals, like all at the same time, and I was a bit overwhelmed. So I actually was so tired by the end of the day.
You took a nap?
I took a nap. I'm gonna be honest with you. I went to the beach and I took a nap on the beach. And that's true.
You are living that good life, everybody.
I took a nap on the beach at just before our call. So don't try to over automate stuff, and don't try to chase all of those deals, because I'm telling you, in 2 months you're gonna see those new iPhones for $200 off. That's how I bought mine a year ago. So yeah, don't try to jump on it on day zero like everybody else is trying to.
That's a good point. I won't listen, but that's a good point. Dave, what about you, sir?
I would say, for anybody that's interested in some of this stuff and, haven't made the jump, just start with something small. It is addicting. So once you start getting into it, you'll find that you want to do more and more. But figure out why you want to do it and start there. And there's some unbelievable technology that enables people to connect with family members in a way that we never had the opportunity to before, even 5 years ago. So, you can use this technology to be very much interactive with your family, both at home. A lot of people are using this technology to keep an eye on their loved ones, some of the older loved ones, and that sort of thing. So it's awesome technology. Don't be afraid of it. Just jump in there and choose something. Start out small, something easy, and don't be fearful. You'll find, and you're going to find people that can help you out, that can definitely do that. So you don't need to go as in depth as we do it necessarily, but at least not at first. But just have fun with it. Just enjoy it. It is life altering when you realize what we really have at our fingertips when we talk about automation and different things like that. And I will say if you haven't started doing any sort of protection at home, do it. You just never know. And you don't want to ever think of the worst, but stuff happens. And that's the last thing you want to do is say, I wish I had have listened to those guys and did something, because you just never know. So definitely do that. Digitize your home movies when I can. I had to borrow a VCR. I was so thankful. I came across a couple additional tapes. So get all that stuff digitized, have fun with it, and enjoy it.
I love it. Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with all that. I do need to find a VCR myself, but you guys, appreciate you again. Thank you for a very good show. We will talk to you soon. Have a good night. Enjoy yourselves and enjoy your families. All right.
All right, everybody.
Have a good night.